So the aircraft behind me is a Chance-Vought F4U-4 Corsair. It was accepted by the US Navy just at the tail end of World War II and remained largely in storage until it was reactivated as part of the buildup for the Korean War, which began in 1950. In the spring of 1951, it was assigned to Navy Squadron VF-32 and stationed aboard the USS Leyte. That is significant because this is a squadron that had just returned from combat duty, providing close air support during the Korean War, and it was accepted as a replacement for one of two aircraft lost on the afternoon of December 4th, 1950. Flying one of those Corsairs was Ensign Jesse L. Brown, the first African-American naval aviator who had been brought down by ground fire. At the controls of that second Corsair was Lieutenant Junior Grade Thomas Hudner, who, on seeing Jesse, his fellow squadron mate, trapped in his aircraft, crash-landed his Corsair to within 100 yards of Jesse and attempted to rescue him on this bitter cold, frozen mountaintop behind enemy lines in North Korea. Now, unfortunately, Jesse succumbed to the cold and his injuries. For his efforts, Tom was awarded the Medal of Honor, the first Medal of Honor, in fact, of the Korean War. When the squadron rotated back to the United States, they needed two new Corsairs, and the aircraft that is in our collection is one of those aircraft. Continued in Navy service across various squadrons before it was declared surplus in the 1960s. Picked up and raced at Reno by a warbird collector who donated it to the museum in the mid-1990s. And it's been here, kind of under our noses this whole time. Now, doing further research on this aircraft, we took a deep dive into the aircraft's logbooks and discovered that story, that not only was this aircraft a replacement for one of those lost, but it continued to be flown by men like Thomas Hudner and all the other pilots of VF-32 who knew Jesse, who flew with him and fought with him. And we realized we really had just a special aircraft. Now, working with our aircraft maintenance staff at the Weeks hangar here in Oshkosh, we almost completely repainted the aircraft, returning it to the markings it would have worn in March of 1951 when it joined Squadron VF-32 and was being flown by Hudner and all the other folks who knew Jesse.
As we get ready to cut this, we just want to dedicate this to all the heroes of VF-32, to Korea, and hopefully we inspire younger generations to pursue their walks of life in aviation. So thank you all for being here. And with that, we are open. Come on in, check out the exhibit. Thank you for coming today.
This has, brought our families together again, the Hudners and the Browns, and, story of Tom's dad and my grandfather's friendship and, sacrifice and service. So I'm real proud that there's another exhibit that, is exemplifying their story in such a way that, it can live on.
I mean, it's amazing. Again, I've seen photos of these aircraft, during Korea, and then actually being on set for the filming of Devotion. Saw, they were using real Corsair, so obviously in VF-32 colors, but those were all other warbirds that were painted up for the occasion. But so the fact that this is going back to its roots, so to speak, and its original markings with VF-32, totally incredible. And I'm clearly, as I'm showing right now, a bit overwhelmed by seeing it in person. It's amazing. Just amazing to sit in the cockpit of a plane my dad flew, and I think of it as that was my dad's office for years, and certainly during the Korean War, and to be in that environment and to sort of see and feel what he saw and felt every day when he was flying missions. And if I had let myself go, it would have been, I joked that it must have been dusty in there because I was certainly getting a get teary-eyed.
Seeing it today, seeing it finished, it's that satisfaction of knowing that it's as close as we can possibly get it to its original colors, its original scheme in March of 1951. But not only that, it's also knowing that this aircraft, this exhibit, will continue to be the centerpiece and continue to be a way of sharing that story of Jesse Brown and Thomas Hudner and what happened on December 4th, 1950 with our visitors for so many years to come.